When John and I formulated the assignment for the Java Predicament, we knew that the project would be quite challenging. But not just because we're working online, dealing with these very large scales and operating over this great distance without having seen the site, but rather because the project taps into some of the fundamental challenges that planners in emerging economies are facing. If we look at Central Java, we see all the generic global urban components kind of landing on the map. The seaports, the airports, the toll roads, etc. At the same time, Indonesia must find a way to balance development with a way of preserving its natural, ecological and cultural landscapes. This is a balance that's extremely difficult to achieve in rapidly growing economies. But there's another challenge. In a place like Indonesia, the traditional models of top-down planning, of centralized visions that are being rolled out from the capital to the furthest regions, seems to no longer work. Instead, there's a dispersed, opportunistic urbanism that is taking place across the countryside, where these same global urban components, maybe at a smaller scale, are finding their way into the countryside. That type of urbanization is extremely hard to, one, understand, map, wrap your head around, and it's more difficult even to guide and to plan for. So we ask students to first look at the micro level, to really map at an extremely local scale and consider what kind of processes are taking place there. That makes it very hard to conceive some sort of unified, comprehensive model. But as we build our taxonomy of different solutions, kind of a book of a number of tactics and strategies that can respond to this type of dispersed growth and informal urbanization, there is some coherence. There seems to be a larger vision that can be applied to these types of environments. The different projects relate to each other, tap into each other's findings, kind of work almost as a larger modular system that can be applied strategically and locally.
So the students ask a series of key questions through their projects. Is there a hybrid form of global, local, rural, metropolitan urbanism in Central Java? If so, what does it look like? How does it perform? How will emergent forms of urbanization shape the future of Java? If these conditions do exist, how will they change, how will they grow, and how will they potentially become the predominant form of urbanism on the island? And what is the future of Java's rural-urban nexus?
In the 2045 master plan, the production sector should be formed as a dispersed production belt to adapt the local transportation network and to minimize the demolishing of original site and maximize the developed area usage. The factory village are identified through a series of time frames. The factory village activate as the stretch network from major road to the inner road transportations. Stretch model delivers a diverse range of activities and hybrid mixed landscape forms the distribution channel of produced goods. The factory village are constructed through different scales of transportation networks. Through the primary connectivities, the connections were formed between the factory village and the regional networks. The secondary connectivities allows the goods to be distributed within the factory village model. Tertiary connectivity connects the local rural networks for assistance in smaller collections and distribution centers. Region area will be formed based on the existing local programs such as logistics centers, production factory, and local distribution center. Logistics centers located at the entrance of factory village, which allow the site to pick up and drop off the good that they have produced throughout the factory village, and production factories situated parallel to the secondary network, where easier delivery of finished products and raw materials. The local distributions centers located at rural networks, where the main role will act as the temporary connections of minor roads network. As for conclusion, the factory village model is an ecology system that strives to achieve commercial activation through the dispersed methodologies of production belt.
This project looks to interrogate the current solid waste management and treatment industry in Indonesia, identifying its issues and proposing that the future of urbanism in Central Java revolves around waste management as its focal point, where the end is also the beginning of a city. Waste management should be celebrated instead of being disregarded in the revitalization of the desa kotas, coexisting with urban infrastructure such as public transport lines, bike lanes, and major roads to bring in additional exposure from other districts to facilitate urban growth within rural areas. I've also been fascinated in the changing of the primary paradigm of Central Java, questioning myself as to how development might happen if the driver of urban planning is through proper disposal of waste, as I am not just speculating on the project from an economical standpoint, but also very specifically on waste management itself. This would mean that the future of Central Java is to be more community-driven and have a stronger reliance on the residents themselves, to deal with their own waste properly, with the incorporation of district waste management signifying patterns of growth for the future of these desa kotas. This would ensure that the entire process is localized and incorporated into the circular economy of the district, establishing a continual use of resources and eliminating waste. This proposition is not just meant to revolutionize Central Java, but it could also be instilled in the urban planning of other parts of Southeast Asia or even potentially the rest of the world, starting from the installation of a waste sorting center as a transition zone that would cause a ripple effect for the implementation of other urban amenities such as additional agriculture and farmlands, industrial and commercial districts emerging around these facilities as well, signifying an increase in efficiency for the district through close proximity and also leading to an increase in job opportunities through the consolidation of these economic hubs, creating a sustainable community that can flourish and become the future of neighborhood planning.
To virtual metropolis. My project looks to investigate the potential of growth due to information and technology in Central Java for 2045. Analyzing these sites from Central Java and making observations from the spatial conditions and consumption patterns, use of internet is seen as a pattern of connecting these virtually. It is estimated there will be 50 million new internet users in Indonesia every 5 years. Indonesia is one of the countries with the largest social media users in the world. It has been seen that with COVID-19 happening, there has been a significant increase in the online activities, purchases to online education, and of getting medical help. I'm proposing that IT would be the facilitator in development of rural population and make them self-sufficient and independent of the urban core. Experimenting telemarketing business as one of the scenarios to be the catalyst in the development of a selected village. The virtual infrastructure would enable the desa kotas to be self-sustained, and the next 25 years could see technology facilitate the growth and drive urbanization of these villages in place. Since it has been seen that infrastructure in itself does not dictate growth, the information technology, by making the services more accessible from their homes, can enable growth without the use of physical infrastructure in these circumstances. The trend brought about by COVID-19 for a shift towards decentralization can also see migrants return, and the distinct entrepreneurial skills can lead to the establishment of online businesses and create models for other villages to follow. Indonesia's e-commerce sector is already growing. Success stories in Taba villages of China suggest that digital technologies can contribute to inclusive growth. They can lower the required skill threshold, allowing individuals, including the less educated, to participate in e-commerce and earn more. Schools and community centers can also act as agencies or incubators to manage this at larger scale. The experimentation of these different scenarios and options reinforce the proposal. The development in terms of shift in programs to shift in typologies has been projected. The development could maintain the village culture and hybrid of fine-grained existing scale built form along with clusters of new multi-level buildings. Biophilic facades, eco-friendly sustainable homes, ground floor retail, and more community gatherings spaces will not only enhance a sense of community, but can be viewed as a prototype for other villages to follow. The Dakotas as a good unit of urbanism and closely connected to the community and virtually connected to the whole world. These also being self-sufficient with jobs, entertainment, online services, and shopping, etc., and independent of the urban centers for economic reasons, it has every potential to transform into a virtual metropolis.
The notion of urban catalyst refers to the new element that can promote urban changes and accelerate or change the speed of urban development and constructions. That is to say, through the intervention of certain elements, a certain chain reaction can be triggered to promote the maturity of objective conditions for urban constructions, so as to promote the sustainable and gradual development of the city according to the people's will. In the development process of Central Java cities, excessive accumulation leads to environmental degradation, traffic congestion, and other problems, which makes the population and other factors tend to develop in suburbs or small towns with better conditions or more abandoned spaces. This is anti-urbanization background of Central Java. This is summary. One of big city in Central Java. If you cover the population density map with it, you will get the following results. Due to the terrain, traffic, and other factors, the population density with each red circle is higher than that of surrounding areas. If we understand it from a different angle, it will be much more clear. And in ever high density population point, there is a system that can digest most of the needs of public. And it can form a closed loop of self-supply chain. When we zoom into one of the high density population points, after 25 years, the population density will reach 2.2 times, and the function of a market will become limited and difficult to control. As a solution of the situation, I hope to break up the rules of regional center and get such results. Each red area serves as one of the catalysts in the area. The proposal is to stimulate and drive the constructions of city and promote the sustainable and gradual development of urban structures through such kind of urban catalyst. It is not the ultimate product. It is beginning of serious product which will stimulate and guide the development of many subsequent projects.
The project Fragmented Negotiations looks into the tenacities that exist within the present hybrid landscape and projects 2045 as exchange of these elements that formulate Central Java. These elements defined as valleys, forest, tree cover, farm, clusters, or Dakotas and the linkages that bind them together have an important role to foster resilience and sustenance of communities. Each element catalyzes definitive action of protection from risk and disasters, generate economy, enable intangible boundaries which form one community and come together to celebrate in 2045, with economy booming to 4 times through fruit tree plantation with 10 trees per family. The increase in tree cover prevents or obstructs the disaster from volcano, increases groundwater table, reduces the effect of siltation and protects the land. The communities of Central Java have proven that increased tree cover can surge rice harvest to 3 cycles per year as compared to 1 harvest. The risk and disaster helps understand the existence of each element in the system. The analysis at microscale aids the understanding of interrelation among local programs and consolidation of communities which enable densification in initiating local connection and growth. At macroscale, the negotiations that take place in the hybrid landscape allow densified communities to agglomerate, sharing their relationship with tree cover in green and farms in white as principal source of economy. The analysis formed the basis of application at mesoscale to ensure that the system is not intervened. On the contrary, it further enhances the outcome while strengthening sustenance and resilience. The Site 1 is close to volcano and utilizes the valley system principally. Site 2 is close to Magellan, the rural-urban fabric. Site 3 has a narrow and dry stream which needs to be converted to valley. Development stages for the sites can be understood in 4 progressions, in which stage 1 is the existing scenario of fragmented negotiations, stage 2 the mega scale implication, 45% increase in tree cover to renegotiate economic program, stage 3 corridors of growth, densification of nearby communities as understanding developed from macro scale, stage 4 consolidation of land area by increasing volume while accounting for the lost trees in corridors of growth. This has been implied at all 3 sites, 2045 as per fragmented negotiations. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jaidu. My project is the Big Market 2045. A large additional market will build around the submarine city to slow down the city spiral. The phenomena of spending around the city, mostly to like university or industrial area, these infrastructures affect urban fringe and gradually have several new communities. So the urban spiral does not come from the city center, but occurs on the border of different administrative regions. And I searched about some of area like the low density area to create an edge between district. This area, because of the establishment of the industrial area, the nearby residential area gradually expanded and became a new community. In 2015, there was a traditional market period. I think this is an opportunity if the traditional market continue to expand here. What's the impact that will happen? They analyze the chart of the distance between template to market and ports, the distance from any point to market that less than 1 kilometer. If we look at the diagram, each progressing plane is scrapped away from the regional market. Compared with traditional marketing system in the local market, most of the imports goods are transported and sold to the market by traders. After becoming a central market, the market can directly collect and store raw material and goods. This can shorten the channel of goods transportation for the community. It also brings a lot of work and consumption opportunities. Assuming that the number of merchants in 2045 is more than 6,500 due to the increasing demand, the agricultural land near the collection and storage center can conveniently provide goods and material to the traditional markets in the urban area. In 2045, the market will become another central hub of the city, affecting surrounding communities. However, the higher electric density between regions may become the buffer zone on the edge of submarine.
Central Java remains in increasing urban-rural disparities. Due to Indonesia's own policies, which tend to pay more attention to industrial development instead of agricultural development, this area faces a predicament that the development of rural area is relatively backward. Besides, Indonesian government's policy of encouraging decentralized planning has contributed to the current urban function distribution model, which enables people to get all the functional needs of daily life in a very small range. However, it relatively affects the motion of the entire regional economic and industrial chain. As a result, there are few locally specific industrial chains, and crops are not only unable to be exported, but even need to be acquired through imports. This predicament and problems exist along with opportunities. With its good natural environment and abundant labor force because its large population, Central Java still have great potential for agricultural development. Finally, we selected 2 small villages with river located at southwestern area of Yogyakarta as our experimental area and implemented our idea. We regarded the whole village as a system with different functional hubs and integrated small farmland into large farms. Through the overall regulation and control, planting and harvest could be carried out in a unified way. This system also includes the management and reuse of waste and wastewater, so as to lay the foundation for the sustainable development of this region in the future.
Urban agriculture can be reimagined in 2045 in Java, where it is inspired by the coexistence of Dakota and urbanization that is currently happening in Java. With rapid urbanization, the language of Dakota are decreasing, and the food supply chains are becoming longer, causing unsustainable planning. However, with the implementation of sustainable farmland in potential urbanized area, these help stimulate self-sufficiency for farmers and maintain the language of Dakota through Java. Throughout the speculation and comparison of local and global agricultural typologies, these typologies have been expanded into further potential hybrid conditions for urban agriculture with strategies from production, food hub, and creating market and trade. The chosen site is Nakadrigo in Maijen district. That is the main area for agricultural production that is close to Simrang city. Due to its low land price and accessibility to irrigation, this site has potential to develop the area into urban agriculture, maintaining the Dakota before urbanization takes over. First strategy. The idea of production is to diversify crops to create biodiversity within the area through the land configuration of 2 acres that will create self-sufficient farming. This land configuration is also catered towards urbanization of growing population and to create housings for farmers. This implementation of self-sustained farmland won't be disturbing the existing agricultural context. Next, food hub. Food hub acts as a processing hub and aims to stimulate the local economy and provide jobs for local people by pulling these small and medium-sized farmers together so they can pool their products to fuel larger demand. This will help farmers cut away the middleman problem. Next is market and trade. Market and trade will be prioritized in urbanized area that is accessible for locals. So what will happen in 2045? The allocation of self-sustained farmland will help act as a buffer to protect the existing farmland from urbanization, which will prioritize the existing farmland to be the production area for the community, making food more accessible and affordable within the area. The configuration of this will create biodiversity in the context too.
Hi everyone, my project is focused on the agricultural village in Central Java, develop self-sustainable agricultural production space and encourage bottom-up community participation. In 2045, with more than 390 million people, the country faces challenges in its food supply, food prices rise, and its sustainability. The existing issues in general is decrease of rice fields, land with no farmers, low agricultural technology, and poor infrastructure. My proposals basically aim at creating developed centers in productive or potential productive rural areas and maybe revolutionizing rural areas, connecting them together to form their own towns like agricultural-based small towns. The centers are to become the focal points for the collection, processing, and distribution of agricultural inputs of the surrounding rural areas. The whole proposal is based on the ecosystem to develop further. The next step is to explore desirable location to develop agriculture and test them. And then I focus on the aquaponic system, the fish vegetable symbiosynthesis system using a recycle process to grow and harvest plants, as well as farming fish, where fish waste works with gravel and beneficial bacteria from the plants to create a recyclable concentrated compost. Wastewater is pumped from the fish to the upper gravel layer, where bacteria can break down the impurity, which left the nutrition and essential nutrients for plants. Crop residue are fed to livestock and fish. The water cycle of agricultural production provides local produce, reduces environmental pollution, and ensures economic gains. In 2045, a range of community and agricultural programs are distributed within the site, so that each people have easy access to those buildings in less than 6 minutes work. Also allow existing farmers to continue working the land while satisfying the needs of local people to achieve self-sufficiency. Surplus of production will distributed to other regions within the country. The next is the vision of people's live in the future.
This project provides a detailed analysis of how a regional rail system in the development of the area. The diversity of rail system in a site is directly proportional to the diversity of surrounding buildings. Based on the existing rail system in central Java, Anggaran is likely to become a subcenter of Samaran City. This hunch is based on geographic location, land price, and existing land use. To control the cost and maintain a good geographic location environment, some factory originally in Samaran may be moved to Anggaran. The existing factory area are likely to be expanded into industry parks, and corresponding residential and trade area will appear around the industry parks. The establishment of higher education institutions will also help the construction and development of surrounding area while expanding themselves. Then, the most obvious is that the farmland near the high-grade road, especially national roads, will be replaced by new residential areas. Furthermore, the existing residential buildings will also be spread out according to the road system, and open space nearby the high-grade road and residential area will be largely development, trade, and services area. All the factors will increase economic development of Anggaran and attract people from surrounding cities to move in. Thus, will promote Anggaran region into a new subcenter of Samaran City.
The hybrid space ties in the relationship between car park space and informal activities. It is identified throughout Central Java as an opportunity for development that caters towards the infrastructural network. The idea is based on acquiring car park spaces found in the global infrastructures and then redistributed into other spaces for the intent of negotiation between the use of parking and activation for informal activities should parking becomes redundant in the future. Similar parking patterns dictate how informal spaces are activated around the urban fabric, as Central Java relies on its road network for the development of infrastructures as well as its economic growth on the global scale. The duality of global and local inputs is a double-edged sword. It simultaneously stimulates economic growth for both sectors, while the informal activities also gradually shift towards the inevitable restraint to the traffic network. It poses a question of what if the parking spaces itself are the informal space? By identifying a spectrum of spatial qualities found in the road network, it enables the parking spaces within the infrastructures to be siphoned out and placed in order to allow economic growth for the local economy, while also to mitigate the congestion for traffic network. As the idea begins to take place, methods of subdivision are then able to occur in order to fully utilize the space for planned parking based on a minimum standard for a transitional car flow. The parking spaces are then used as a benchmark for the transition towards informal spaces as years goes by, ensuring the transition to take place while retaining the vehicle circulation within the site. Little gestures then can come into play as elements that structure the parking spaces are further developed to help spatially orientate and engage between the informal activities and its surrounding context. This is an attempt to create an opportunity for the less fortunate in society to hold their ground within Central Java's network. Thank you.
Our goal is to control the carbon emissions of the Central Java in the next 25 years. In order to achieve the goal, we mainly start two parts. The first part is about the green space. We choose different cities to do the research. By studying the development of the cities, the types of the green space, and the ecological structure of the site, we found that the scale of the green space in the Central Java is reducing, and the function of the green space is single, which bring many other disasters such as the flood. Another part is the energy structure of the Central Java. Through research, we found that the Central Java need to develop more energy sources to replace the fossil energy, such as the solar energy and the bioenergy. Therefore, we provide different solutions for the two aspects. On the one hand, we have predict and calculate the required green area of the reforestation in the next 25 years. We also provide reforestation schemes of the different scales. On the other hand, such as the solar energy, we have calculated the solar power plant needed in the next 25 years. We have also provided solar energy solutions of the different parts. Therefore, this is Central Java in 2045 under our scheme. We found that the green space with different scales and functions, as well as different types of the renewable energy, so that the Central Java will become a sustainable eco-city in the next 25 years.
Hi, today we will talk about our design strategy for 2045 Central Java eco-traveling loops. Our design strategy wants to establish eco-traveling loops in efficient routes. Central Java has good natural resources. Our projects want to achieve both ecological and environmental protection and economic development. We research tourist places in Central Java such as religion, culture, natural places, parks. We separate them into two main aspects, man-made and nature. We also try to define value of those tourist places. From our research, we predict the development of nature and man-made tourist places in 2045. We find two transportation vehicles are suitable for low-carbon green travel, sightseeing electricity vehicle bus. Second is scooter. For this project, we will mainly focus on sightseeing bus because it's green carbon subsidy program. Bus loop design is important for our work. Those 8 loops connect the different tourist places and city. It shows how much time visitors will spend in these loops and how popular are these loops. The reason of to design these loops is to disperse tourists, drive the economic development to other places, and also bring convenience to tourists. We don't want to add more routes because Central Java has good road system, which also provides a well condition for our loops. We design different service functional hoops to create better travel routes. These hoops can be placed by near the bus stop to provide more traveling service and to promote the development of the loops. For sightseeing bus hoop, we designed the facade element of our bus stop by extracting some features of nearby attractions.
Welcome to Java Studio. This studio focuses on understanding the urban and rural systems of Central Java and its rapid urbanization. Central Java is called a genius loci. It is an island of extremes. The three major sectors contributing to Central Java's economy are manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. There are several tourist attractions in this region. My hunch for Central Java's future urbanization is using tourism to boost the rural economy since there are many significant tourist attractions located in rural areas. I considered a tourist loop where a tourist departs to a specific destination while visiting some amenities in between and returns completing this loop. In Central Java's case, most of the tourist amenities are located in major cities. Jogjakarta and Semarang serve as supporting cities for tourists. More than 90% of tourist amenities and services are located in these cities. A tourist spends more than 60 minutes to reach a major tourist place and does not find time to visit other attractions. What if these amenities come up in rural regions? What could a tourist do in the same time from traveling from city to rural region? How will this benefit the rural economy? The percentage of GDP contributed by the tourism sector was 10% in 2019, which was decreased to 6% in 2020 due to the global pandemic. The projected GDP for 2045 is 12%, almost twice last year. Domestic and international tourists both contribute to this. The selected sites are Borobudur Temple and Prambanan Temple as they are very popular and listed as World Heritage Sites and attract the highest number of visitors. One more essential factor is that there are several other attractions around these sites which can be incorporated in the loop. The growth pattern around these sites is fragmented. The land use matrix shows 50% of agricultural land and 50% of the settlement. Borobudur Temple is in a rural context, whereas Prambanan Temple is in a peri-urban settlement. The fragmented development led to a fragmented agricultural land pattern. These pieces of agricultural land could be pockets for the development of tourism-related amenities like accommodation, cafes, restaurants, leisure activities, souvenir shops, and more, which will serve the needs of tourists. This will create a tourist loop in rural region and generate more economy towards the local communities compared to the income generated from fragmented agricultural land. All sorts of cities compete for tourism, including those that have remained economically healthy and vibrant at the core. In such context, the infrastructure of tourism should be merged into the local spatial and cultural fabric rather than clustered into well-defined urban space. A measure of prosperity for a sub-district region is the number of settlements classified as urban or rural. The pressure to preserve the rural character is contrary to the desire to produce greater economic wealth. As tourism grows, there will be a gradual conversion of agricultural land to a non-agricultural use. This fundamental characteristic can be considered to develop tourism-related infrastructure, and as tourism advances, additional opportunities will be created for employment, investment, development, and infrastructure spending, which ultimately heightens rural development. Thank you.
Urban resilience has conventionally been defined as the measurable ability of any urban systems with its inhabitants to maintain continuity through all the shocks and stresses while positively adapting to transforming towards the sustainability. The Semarang city has experienced dramatic urban growth in the past 20 years. As a result, the population grew. The largest sector involved in Semarang urbanization is the service sector, particularly the informal fields of activities. Rapid urbanization followed by land conversions at high rates, in addition to the additional developments that occurred from 1972 to 2009, which can be attributed to land conversion and other important factors in the growth associated with the population. It's evident that industries and population has rapidly expanded in a place where there has been rapid progress of urbanization that has led to build the unbuilt and land becoming interchangeable. In addition, it can be from the growth that in the direction of metropolitan growth of Samarang is largely uniform, with a predominant eastward expansion. This is consistent with the prediction that urbanization of an industrialization not only leads to economic growth but can also influence the spatial patterns of a space due to industrialized worker needs for residential and other supporting facilities. There is a decreasing amount of green spaces as the population increases, which was changing the way is land used, resulting in the change of land use in such a way that agricultural lands, where the Samarang city is developed in such a way that the settlements of informal patterns with the huge cluster blocks, which leads to natural calamities such as flood. In the contrast, the land in the city was the Samrang city, a low-lying area, and sinking every year because of the settlement development. Hence, the proposal is to activate the urban pockets which are left over in between the urbanized areas in such a way that these acts as a green barrier corridor connecting the between the areas which can help to control the damage during the natural calamities. And the other part is that looking towards the agricultural land, how the development is moving towards the agricultural land and the change of land use patterns, which are affecting the reducing the agricultural land and the green spaces. Hence, the development is that initiating the proposal to implement the vertical agricultural patterns and merge the growth to the current land use patterns in a way that allows the rapid urbanization to occur without affecting the agriculture and forest lands.
My research subject is coastal diversity based in mangrove. So I did a lot of background research about Central Java, coastal area of Indonesia. The destruction of mangrove here has led to the gradual erosion of the coast. Loss of livelihoods and homes of local residents is a problem in the socio-economical development of the coastal areas of Java. Then I studied the ecosystem of mangrove, which showed that mangrove supported rich life as a natural habitat for the variety of the species, protect the biological diversity and maintain the ecosystem. It also acts as a buffer against seawater intrusion. Furthermore, it plays an important role in the food supply, seafood, medicinal resource, regulating the natural climate, air and soil, and its education has research. What's more important is its economical benefit included wood resources, tourism, water resources, carbon resources, and so on. Here is a series of charts that demonstrate the value of mangrove ecosystem services in various areas. The second point is that I learned about the project measures taken by the local government to restore the mangrove, developing a natural defense that will protect the hinterland for further erosion. where the coastline has not yet been eroded. This is a famous mangrove tourist areas in Java, which is distributed that north coast of Java. Summerland city has many tourist attractions and has the largest airport in the sea and a rich transportation network, which will greatly promote mangrove ecotourism. So that I took the city's coastline as my research site. This is the current coastline that I drew from Google. The disappearance of mangrove due to the construction of agriculture and fish farmer has aggravated the erosion of the coastline. The changes of the coastline can be seen like the mangrove are disappearing. This is the current land use classifications is including the pond, rice field, residence, industry, transportation areas, and so on. This is the land use that I got from GIS over the year, and the coastline changed over the year, and it turns out that the amount of land cost to the coast has been decreasing. So we can see the coastline change, and what we have to do is restore the lost land and redefine the new coastline and give it new function based on the local land use. So when the coastline can be extracted, we can be seeing more clearly beautiful coastline that will created by the nature and the humor. So now based on the coastline of the boundary of the city to build connections, its main purpose is to restore the land and make a new function buffer zone based on the mangrove forest. So we can see the various species of this coastline included mangrove underwater plant, marine exhibition hall, mangrove tree stack trail, holiday village tree house hotel, kitchen farmer, cycling sea lines, and ecological fishing village, ecological park, museums, and so on. Also, there are another amenities along the coastline, as shown in the reference picture: the seaside biking line and pedestrian walkway, ecological park, and so on.